Hey, what's happening? It's Bill Smith. If you're like me, you have a hard time looking at freakish, deviant behavior, displays of freakish, deviant behavior. So we're going to roll past this real quick. As soon as I can read the headline to you, it says Holy Cross theology professor says Jesus was a, quote, drag king with, quote, queer desires. Holy Cross theology professor. Okay? So let's just get that off the screen. Ugh. So, it says the theology program at Jesuit run College of the Holy Cross, Jesuit run, okay, this is Catholic, has taken on a new tone ever since the school appointed a gender obsessed chair of New Testament studies. Chair of New Testament studies, who claims Jesus was a, quote, drag king. I mean, it's hard to really get my mind around this. I'm going to go through this slow, okay? Um, I find this, I'm kind of past anger on a lot of these things now. Like, I was pretty angry um, about some of this stuff. Now it's to the point where I have a hard time taking it seriously, and I bet there's a lot of other people that have a hard time taking this kind of thing seriously, but it's happening. So I don't think anger is the right way to respond to this sort of thing. Um, I'm also trying to find the humor in it, and I'm having a hard time doing that as well. So I'm kind of in a spot here. Um, Let me just roll through it. So this is on Breitbart. I can tell you, I haven't been coming to Breitbart much in the last year. It used to be a good place to get some news, but since Bannon left, man, it just feels a little flat. I just, there's just so much here to talk about, okay? But I think maybe let's just move on and we'll see who this person is. His thing, though, is he's going to read everything through the lens of gender. Okay, Professor Liew finds sex in the most unlikely places in the life of Jesus. The episode of Jesus washing the apostles' feet at the Last Supper, for example, is, quote, suggestive, like a, quote, literary striptease, and even, quote, even seductive because it shows and withholds at the same time. I, there's a lot. That is not what that's about. Okay, Jesus is humbling himself among the people who look up to him as a king. And he's saying, even a king can be in service to his common man, Like, it's a big deal for this, it's almost hard to talk about it, okay? This guy is just slandering the name of Jesus Christ. And he's the chair, okay? The chair of New Testament studies. New Testament studies at a Jesuit-run Catholic college called Holy Cross, which is like super expensive and very famous. So this is the guy, right? It's this, and I'll just get to some of these points right here. It says, he's from Hong Kong. That's his hometown. He's from Hong Kong. And what's some other stuff I dug up? He spent 7 years in San Francisco and Berkeley. Okay, if that tells you everything you need to know about this guy. And he's all into like sadomasochism and gender queer theory and Marxism. Just all kinds of stuff. Here's a book he wrote. Okay, this was just published 2 years ago. Published by the Society of Biblical Literature. And it's titled Psychoanalytic Mediations Between Marxist and Post-Colonial Readings of the Bible. And you can just guess what this talks about, man. It talks about exactly what you think it's going to talk about. And he's into like right here, this is just his stuff. Via fetish or anti-fetish, dream work, fantasy, biblical text and its afterlives. I don't know. man, like this guy is just bad all around. Like, why would you make this? It's almost like he's trying to destroy Christianity and Christian moral values. It almost looks like that's exactly what he's expressly attempting to do. And the fact that they would appoint him at the College of the Holy Cross, that they would appoint him chair of the New Testament studies, and someone would give this guy a PhD, it blows my mind. There's a link here for his website and his resume. Okay, they're not there. Here's his email address. Okay, it's publicly listed. There's his office phone number. This is not doxing anybody. This is on the College of the Holy Cross website. I'm just showing it to you. This guy, I mean, like, I'm almost at a loss for words. Now, if you're new to this stuff, okay, this is what the Society of Jesus is. This is the Jesuits. I have a hard time discerning or discovering whether or not they are good people at all. People say they're not. People say they're evil, the most evil. This is their expansions, okay? Activity in China, activity in Canada, United States. Here's their activity in China. We could take a look at that. But the important stuff down here is like they've been involved in all kinds of conspiracies that have been outed and documented, like real conspiracies to do things. They've been kicked out of countries. They've been removed from major segments of Europe. They're evil people. Here's their controversies: power-seeking, political intrigue, casuistic justification. I also dug this up: sex abuse scandal in the Society of Jesus, and documented in Chicago, Fairbanks, Portland, Boston, at a high school, over in Germany, Latin America, Chile. I mean, these are bad people. And it looks like they're actively trying to work against the moral teachings of Jesus Christ in the New Testament at colleges openly. That's what it looks like. Now, I mentioned this term earlier, casuistry. I think that's the word. You can pronounce it different than I did. But, just to learn something here, it's reasoning used to resolve moral problems. And it's commonly used as a pejorative to criticize the use of clever but unsound reasoning. So this is like you're making a case for something. You're not trying to figure out what the moral correctness is or what the right thing to do is, quote unquote. You're trying to make a case for something that you want to do. So imagine going to a church, approaching a spiritual leader, a priest, a rabbi, or somebody like that, and them telling you something that a lawyer would tell you. Maybe it's spiritually based, but it's like talking to a lawyer, not like a priest. Now, a priest is supposed to be like neutral and in service of God entirely. Maybe even you and God. But when you're talking to a lawyer, they're going to come up with all kinds of different angles to come at you from. So that's one of the things that was mentioned with the Society of Jesus. Here's their activity in China. I haven't read through a lot of this yet, but I think it's interesting that they have been active in China since the 16th and 17th centuries, and now you got a guy from Hong Kong at a Jesuit-run college in the United States in 2018 who's been appointed chair of New Testament studies talking about how Jesus is queer. Okay, so let's get into some of this other stuff, because I kind of glazed over the raunchy stuff. This guy, Rod Dreher, this is on the American Conservative. Okay, I try to stay away from some sites like this sometimes, but he pulls out some interesting things. Now, at the bottom, he pulls out some quotes, and this is this guy named Liew. Okay, Benny is a name that he just picked, an American name to kind of fit in. Tat-Siong Tat-Siong Liew. That's his real name. Tat-Siong Liew. From Hong Kong. Okay, teaching at an American university and a Catholic as a religious studies chairman. Telling you that Jesus is queer. Quote, Christ ends up appearing as a drag kingly bride in his passion. Is this stuff you want to teach your kids? I know this isn't. What John is less clear about is whether Jesus is a biological male. He calls it a pageant of sadomasochism in which Jesus is incestuously sexually involved with God the Father. Now, I'm at a loss for words. Like I said, this guy, the fact that they'd appoint this dude blows my mind. I did find common ground on this article he wrote. Okay, he talks about, the need for freedom of speech and also balances that with safe spaces. I think he's trying to kind of protect his ability to do a couple things here. At the bottom, he kind of has a quote that, says that he doesn't think people with controversial rights should be banned from speaking. So I found ground there, but everything else, man, that this guy talks about, Tat-Siong Liew from Hong Kong, he's not, where's it at? I found this one article. What are you telling your students? Teaching what is, quote, real. I mean, from reading through what this guy writes, it kind of gives me this bad feeling in the pit of my stomach. Like I can feel my solar plexus kind of tighten up, and I feel this kind of sickness. This sickness, really. And, man. I feel like this guy's projecting. I feel like that he enjoys all these things. He enjoys sadomasochism. He enjoys queer stuff. I think he's probably a homosexual. I'm just guessing. It's my opinion from what I've been reading. He's been living in San Francisco for 7 years. He carries queer, gay, gender theory. Looks at everything through a queer lens. That's what it says on his thing anyway. I think this guy's just bad news all around, and he's at a Jesuit college of the Holy Cross, a Catholic university, as the chairman of the New Testament studies, talking about Jesus, and he thinks Jesus is queer. Doesn't know if he's biologically male. Thinks he's locked in an incestuous, sadomasochistic relationship with God. And I think this person is wrong. I found this in here, this Elinor Reilly. I don't know who she is. I didn't want to go any further with her. But they just posted this today, or a couple days ago, yesterday, 2 days ago. And he says that he clarifies he's not suggesting that Christ is actually a woman, but that he's neither male nor female. I mean, this is the transgender stuff. So you have somebody pushing transgender theory now at this college. Here's the covers of the 2 books that he wrote. They don't look very Jesus-inspired to me. Okay, they look kind of dark, ominous. Again, I covered it earlier, but talking about Marxism, post-colonial readings of the Bible. I think we'll end the video with this too. This is the other book he wrote. I wish I was making this stuff up, man, but it's called Queering Closets and Perverting Desires, Cross-Examining John's Engendering and Transgendering Word Across Different Worlds. This is the chair of New Testament studies, the chair at a Catholic college, talking about Jesus. This is the main dude, right, that people are going to get their theology from, their study of Jesus. Now they got to talk to this guy about it. I wish I was making this stuff up. The book looks, I don't know. I don't think many people read this. It's not for sale on Amazon, but it says they're talking about racial ethnic dynamics intersecting with power such as gender, class, sexuality, and colonialism. Okay, that's white people are bad, that's men are bad, that's people of means are bad, and that's, transgender. Anytime you see gender instead of sex, that's what that means now. I'm just letting you know. So that's all the time I have. I hope you got something out of this. Till next time, this is Bill Smith. Thanks for watching.